the sky, it's a bird, it's a plane. Flying high, I emerge through the flames. Have no fear, I'm here, so stand back. Melanin activate, the name is super black. In the sky, it's a bird, it's a plane. Flying high, I emerge through the flames. Have no fear, I'm here, so stand back. Melanin activate, the name is super black. Imagine that, a future that's super black. Long as your skin brown, your superpowers intact. What would your powers be? Just hope it ain't super whack. Spatial manipulation, create a portal that's black. Maybe just super speed, time travel to run it back. Or cheat manipulation to keep my spirit intact. As I encounter evils the world face, demons the world makes, I'm needed the world at stake. Rest in peace to Chadwick, they killed all the Black Panthers. Told us white lies, I still marvel at black answers. Suits in DC, pray it lead to a civil war. It ain't no Justice League, what's the need to be civil for? Propelled like the juggernaut, it's clear ain't no stopping this. The world in grave danger, who can stop the apocalypse? They killed all the heroes, the new ones don't really care. But if you need me, put your fist up in the air. Yeah, in the sky, it's a bird, it's a plane. Flying high, I emerge through the flames. Have no fear, I'm here, so stand back. Melanin activate, the name is super black. In the sky, it's a bird, it's a plane. Flying high, I emerge through the flames. Have no fear, I'm here, so stand back. Melanin activate, the name is super black.
Whoo, everybody, what's happening? What's going on? How you doing? It's Tuesday. We're a little early, but that's okay because we have some special guests with us tonight. We have Marc Bernardin in the building. We're going to have some fun. We're going to talk about some of his projects that he's done and the impact that he is having on the nerd and blurred world. But you don't want to miss this. But let's get this thing going. Let's start it off with my second in command, Lady Mandalore. What's going on? Now she's muted. You're muted. You're muted. You're muted. Unmute yourself.
Hi.
There you go. First it was the griot of horror, now it's Lady.
If it's not me, it's going to be Lane. So I pick your poison. I don't know, whichever. Hi.
Yeah, we can always blame it on the scrolls. It works.
Technology is the devil.
That it is. That it is.
It's more and more true lately.
Oh God. Exactly that. All that. Our very own griot of horror. She watches the horror movies, so you don't have to. Our very own Lainey from Geek by Heart. What's up?
I am not muted.
It's either me or her.
One time. How y'all doing? How y'all doing?
Doing good. This feels good starting early. I don't know what it is. I don't know if we can pull it off all the time.
It's throwing off my lighting. I'm not into it.
It is so.
I need my backdrop is. It's not as green as I like it.
Yeah,
I love it there though.
Yeah, there it is. Fashionable, very fashionable.
I mean, it always is.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's Lady Mandalore. I mean, he handles the weapons and the fashion. So why not?
That's right. And then she's gonna handle Ahsoka right after this.
There
it is. Bye. Like,
girl.
There it is. Right there. We also have in the building our cinematic assassin, the ship's computer. Very own. We'll be watching. What's going on?
Hi.
What's up, beautiful people? Listen, intro won't be long. I want to get to our guests, but I will say it is very strange doing the show with the sun still up.
Right?
I was going to say, as long as you don't cock your hat and launch, we should be just fine.
Yes.
That's like it's gonna give Lady Mandalore the wrong key, the wrong notes. And we don't. She's always ready for the smoke, you know that. So we have a major talent in the building, a legend in the game.
God level.
He is, God level, God tier. You know, he's doing the good Lord's work, is what he's doing. He's worked on many projects, including for comics, Darth Vader, Black, White, and Red. He's done Adora. He has his new book, Muhammad Ali, about the messenger, the story of Muhammad Ali. He also is out there doing more of a good Lord's work by hitting the strike zones out there, getting that whole thing together with the SAG and AFTRA and WGA and getting those producers that like do right. But let's get to it. Let's get to it. Marc Bernardin, what's going on?
Hello, friends, and I apologize for gathering the blurs a bit too early.
Oh no,
No.
no apology needed.
Lighting
We gonna make
issues.
time.
The sun is still up.
We gonna make time.
do it again if we need to.
Yeah, exactly. You know, we are here for the people. We're here for the guests. Let me give you this right quick because you are a legend. The things that you've worked on, and I'm a big fan of Fatman Beyond, but I'm a bigger fan of Black Man Beyond. Don't tell Kevin I said that.
It'll be just between us kids.
Okay. But yeah, you're a very humble guy, very humble in everything that you do, and we're going to talk about all your projects and stuff. First off, I want to congratulate Sha'Carri Richardson for getting that gold medal up there. 100-meter race at the World Championships hasn't been done in quite a while.
They gave up on my girl too quick.
Okay.
They threw her out too quick.
No, it wasn't about giving up. It was just the fact that they were sleeping on her.
Yeah, they were.
They wanted to put her in a box. She said, "Okay, I got something for you."
Is it just me, or as she was running in my head, I immediately said Gear 5, and just as soon as I said it, she
Y'all gonna
shot
stop
forward.
with this One Piece.
We're gonna get you on board. We're slowly.
Every episode. I love y'all.
Every episode.
I feel like I need to start watching. I really do.
No,
I do, because like everybody talks about it. I at least want to see what it's about, even if I'm not going to be hooked on it. It's more than 1,000 episodes. That doesn't mean I'm going to be hooked on it.
I mean,
I do want to see what it's about.
all right, I can't say nothing. I'm doing it too.
Hashtag resist.
Let's face it.
I've been trying.
Man, Raw in the building. What's going on, Raw? So yeah, on top of that, you know what? Let's get into a little bit of nerd news. Just a little bit. You ready? I'm ready.
Yes, sir.
Hey.
Maybe a day late, but we never too late. I want to congratulate Blade. Yesterday was the anniversary of the Blade movie, released in 1998. It was actually kind of the door that opened up the MCU as we know it now. It contributed to a lot, as it was not marketed as a comic book movie, because only hardcore fans knew who Blade really was.
Yep.
Although many of the hardcore fans was already on board because it was Wesley Snipes anyway. So
yeah,
that part.
It was just like, oh, Wesley Snipes is killing vampires. Even if I never read the book, I'm still on board.
Gotta see that one time, at least one time.
Yeah. I would like to see what they're gonna do. There's so many hiccups and downfalls of what's supposed to happen. And as we know, Mahershala Ali has dropped out, so Blade's not on the docket right now. We don't know. We don't know.
It's weird in the streets.
Yes. 25 years. Jesus. It still holds up well.
That first movie
was CGI.
Look, we've seen
baby steps. I mean,
listen,
compared to some of what's going on today, it's not that far off.
It's not.
I mean, listen.
Speaking of Blade, in November, I know they are doing a What If Dark series. It's a one-shot, basically, and it's the Tomb of Dracula, and it will be what if Dracula was able to turn Blade fully into a vampire. One thing I can appreciate about the What If series, it's no holds barred. You can do anything. You can tell any story. You can spring it any kind of way. I mean, if Aunt May can be a Herald of Galactus, why not? I'm just saying, it just works.
Mark's like, say less.
It's like everything else is in the wind at that point. Like, I'm just like, and it's still a very sought. I have that issue. It's still a very sought after issue. It's like Aunt May, Herald of Galactus, yeah, wheat pancakes and all.
No gluten. Okay.
No gluten. No gluten. But they also are doing another series where it said, "What if Loki was worthy?" See, it tells a different tale now.
How, Sway?
Well,
how?
No,
Like,
let it rock. Let it rock.
No. There's a little bit of a character flaw
wait a
in
minute.
that entire situation.
Okay, so remember the
what
conversation. Remember the conversation that was had by Thor, Cap, and Tony, and how if the hammer is in the elevator, is the elevator worthy? I mean, he was raising very good points at that time.
But he still has
that is
to
a vein of hypotheticals.
No, we're not. No, that ain't it. That ain't it. The elevator isn't leaving the building to go and slay Thanos. No. No. Look, I need. Okay, so I say that to say I need to see this. I need to read this. I need to figure out how they get around that whole I don't know, lying and being chaotic thing. Just what
no, I mean, but like, does being worthy require you to be good? Or is it requiring you to be consistent? Does it require you to be faithful and loyal? You can be loyal and evil. You can be lawful evil.
Yeah.
You can be chaotic good.
Loki is loyal to himself most. So
I thought you were gonna go with does it mind you to be good versus does it mind you to be like an anti-hero? Because good in the moment. Because then that could be more Loki for being good in the moment rather than being good as a whole.
Yeah, but I mean, there's that elevator conversation in Ragnarok, right? Where Thor's like, "Listen, I loved you. I thought we were going to be like riding together side by side for the rest of time. Like I loved you, Loki. But you're you and I'm me, and as it ever was. But even still, like, there's no reason why you can't be a worthy asshole."
No other way to put it. It was just really no other way to put it. So it stands to reason. I would like to see I like what Marvel did when they had the What If series, even with Exiles, when they had the Exiles. Those were good runs too, because once again, you had time displaced heroes and / villains going to different universes, solving whatever problem, including making sure just some regular Joe Schmo gets a bagel, because if he doesn't get a bagel, somehow him not getting a bagel at this certain time will cause Galactus to show up on Earth. It's just a thing, but it worked.
Comics.
They're amazing.
Everything is possible.
So,
that part.
Nothing is forbidden.
That Cap held one lie and his whole world fell apart.
Whole world fell apart? Well, yeah.
Speaking of Cap, there's a really weird theory going around, and it's back to when Peggy dies. It's at Peggy's funeral. And there's this theory saying that there's two Caps in the timeline, in the MCU timeline. One is older, and then the other one grew old. Essentially the same Cap, just
they're not wrong. They're not wrong. Oh, just
time travel makes my head hurt.
Oh God. Let it go.
Wrong, but it doesn't make it any better.
It doesn't.
It doesn't make it better.
The way the theory was dressed up, it was saying that the Cap that left is the Cap that obviously stayed behind, and the one that it's a loop, just like you said, Lainey. It makes your eyes go cross. It's an Austin Powers moment. Once he arrives, the reason why he doesn't arrive back where he's supposed to is because that's because that Cap has already lived through everything. He knew where to show up,
right?
Which is why he was on the bench,
right?
Dramatic entrance
that nobody saw.
At a certain point, I feel like we started thinking about this way more than the people that actually wrote it did. Like we the people just were so determined to make sense out of every last intimate detail that we would spinning in circles.
I mean, look at WandaVision. The fact that everyone kept screaming Mephisto every episode.
Before, during, and after it started.
Yeah. They wanted Mephisto so bad. I'm like, is it going to solve anything? I don't know, but I don't know.
It would have made things more interesting. It would have shown like they were willing to go to a darker side, and the D word, the Mouse King would have shown a darker side.
The Mouse King? That's what
we're calling.
We're calling the Mouse King now.
We just can't call him. Okay. Because I don't even want to say the word.
The Mouse King. The Mouse
King.
The Mouse King giveth and he taketh away. I don't. Some things we love.
I'm gonna stop. I'm gonna stop.
Don't do it.
Because we want what they give.
I'm a professional.
I just want to know who plays the Mouse King now. Fan casting the Mouse King.
Listen.
Don't leave it up to us because we will fan cast the hell out of it.
Get out of it. That's a fact.
We will do that. I know they had some of the biggest comic book stories so far, as mostly during the spring and summer is when you get like a big storyline. But from the comics, you get all these massive crossovers, which can also cause a bit of a headache. And like major world-altering, life-altering events can happen. But I think in my opinion, one of the biggest events that's been happening is the fall of X. And to this day, I don't know why they won't leave the mutants alone. I don't understand. They were at peace. They were fine. They were by themselves, minding their own business.
Minding their mutant-ass business.
That's what it was. They had it too good for too long.
Why y'all comfortable? We're not happy. How come y'all are happy? Minding your business. We want to be happy too. What y'all doing over here that's making y'all so happy? We want some of that. You got to get out the way. Anyway.
The fact that they went and terraformed Mars and Earth just figured, oh, we don't like that. We were going to do that. Yeah, no, you weren't. You could barely get here in time. So
that sounds like napkin color thought process. Thank you, Mark. No, I'm not.
Mark knows. It's like
listen, mutants have always been a proxy for marginalized communities, and so that checks out.
Listen, if Stan said it, then it's fine.
He said it in 1968. He said it several times, and yet they still don't get it. I don't understand.
Business building this here Wall Street, and then what happens?
You shouldn't have all of it. Oh shit! Bumped up there just a little bit.
Meanwhile, Magneto was like, "I told y'all. It's just like
habitual line steppers.
Listen.
Oh my God! So
lovely having you here, Mark.
He sees how we operate. That's good. He sees how we get down and how we operate. So I love it. People always come here and say, well, "You guys are nuts, but you're fun." And we like it. We're going to take a quick commercial break. We're going to come back with our guest, Marc Bernardin. We're going to talk about all these dope projects he's been working on, his latest projects, and an award he just won right after this.
I was eating. What commercial? Commercial break. I'll give you a commercial. There's a goddamn celestial in the ocean and no one is talking about this. What even is that?
Spider-Man, a psychopath wielding powers he has no right to possess.
Jameson, not now. Is this a Thanos thug showing up on CBT? Did Jesus come back and get stuck halfway through? How does nobody have answers on this? It has been sitting here ignored and untouched for months like a Christmas tree. We might as well hang ornaments on it. Read all 600 pages of the Sokovia Accords. Everybody got their nose up in Wakanda business. But nobody has answers on this? I don't even need like an official news report. Send a single TikTok star with the ship. How is nobody investigating this? What the fuck?
This just in.
Feeling groggy in the morning? Coffee just can't give you that pep in the step that you're looking for? Try Pop Starts for that great get up and go that adults need. Pop Starts has the vitamin and nutrients that only grown-ups can partake in, and with flavors such as tossed salad and scrambled eggs, and Jack Daniels and Bud Light flavors to start your day or end it, there's nothing better to wake up to unless you count that depressing cubicle job. Well, anyway, try Pop Starts today. Pop Starts is not part of the Kellogg's Corporation. Pop Starts could give you diarrhea. Pop Starts are not found in your local grocery store.
They are absolutely of no good.
Wait 1 second. That first commercial is new. Y'all might not know. I run the show off my phone, and when I do, it automatically mutes the sound that's playing, so that way it doesn't create a feedback loop. I'm watching in pure like confusion. I have no clue what was said. All of a sudden, I gotta catch that one later. I gotta figure out what was going on there.
Yeah, the Celestial one.
Yes.
Oh, with the new.
Yeah.
Shout out to Tafari for that Celestial commercial, and of course myself for the Pop Starts commercial.
I need a loop of that white lady falling down the stairs, and I need like the give me the Snopes, the deep internet dig on like what is that footage? What commercial did that used to be? Why are there drunk old people trying to climb a flight of stairs badly?
Facts.
I need all of it.
Oh, it's good. It's gonna cause a rabbit hole. You know, when you go down those YouTube rabbit holes, like you end up on Wikipedia. You end up in some of the wildest places.
It's fine. I'll buy a condo down there. I just got to know the answer.
Oh, I like that.
Oh my god, that is a very good one. Oh my god, we have with us a legend. We have someone who has worked on Picard. He has worked on various comics. It's too numerous to name, but what you can do is check out his new book, The Messenger, The Legend of Muhammad Ali. I think that's out now, correct?
It is indeed. It came out last week.
All right. You can check that out right now. You can also, and I think you don't have a distributor yet, but his short film Splinter just won a Gen Con award. So congratulations on that.
Thank you very much.
That's an amazing. I said it before the show. You are an extremely humble man, and I can appreciate that. A fantastic writer. How did you know that being in this world of nerddom, this is where you wanted to be?
Well, I'll tell you, I'm an old enough man, if you cannot tell by the grayness of my beard. I've got like the Sam Jackson mid-range villain beard happening.
Okay.
You know, like a shark is about to eat me in about 15 minutes. There wasn't much of a choice. Like you are who you are, you grow up how you grow up, and to a certain degree, you can fight it all you want, as I think lots of us did. If you were born in the 70s, grew up in the 80s, nobody wanted any piece of this in any way possible. So, sometimes you try to hide your light, but it never takes for that long. And so I luckily got to being a grown-up and got to my first couple of jobs when nerddom was on the rise, when Blade had just come out, when X-Men is on the horizon, when The Matrix is on the bubble, when Spider-Man is about to happen. And so I was working at Entertainment Weekly at the time, and it's like, hey, we need a nerd. And it's like the nerd signal went off, right? Like the skies lit up and the clouds parted, and and I raised my hand. And I was like, hey, I may or may not be that person, and so it served me in good stead to be the guy who read comics as a kid, who had a functional, operational understanding of Dungeons and Dragons, who had been a video gamer since there were video games invented, and could bring kind of all of that to bear. And they already knew me, so they couldn't like not invite me in because I was the vampire they already knew. And had, the grandfather invite to the house.
I gotta remember that.
It's like, oh shit, you're this guy also? Yeah, but you already invited me in.
So,
Late.
The devil.
Late, yeah. Sorry. Garlic doesn't help now.
So you've worked on several projects, Alphas, Carnival Row. You worked for the big three, Image, Marvel, and DC.
Mm-hmm.
So well-rounded is probably the best word or best phrase to use.
Or schizophrenic. Well-rounded.
No judgments around here.
No. I mean, you just seen the Pop Starts commercial, and like, wait till you see the steak and cocaine one we're putting together. So, it's listening to you on Fatman Beyond and with Kevin Smith and watching you work. One, you two bounce great off each other. Two, it's when he takes a break from something because he has another project or there's something going on that you're still in there, and then you're like, well, Kevin's not here, so it's Fatman Beyond. And I'm just like tickled because I'm just like, oh, we black day. Like I already know. I already know what kind of party we're in for, and I'm never disappointed. It makes for a great ride when I'm driving and everything. So, number one, you're doing that show from a great place, the Cantina, the Scum of Villainy. Out in, where is that at exactly in California?
It is in Hollywood, California, on Hollywood Boulevard.
So
it is as Hollywood as you can get.
So listen to me when I tell you this, crew. It's the Cantina. It's built like the Cantina from Star Wars.
Oh no, I've seen.
It is not the Cantina from Star Wars. It is a nondescript, non-copyrighted space drinkery.
There
you do not need to incur the Mouse King.
We'll go with that. I like that.
See, you can't tell me otherwise.
Yeah.
See?
Being there, your first time stepping in there and realizing, oh, we're doing the show from here. How did that make you feel? How did that like made you part of this universe almost?
I mean, it was we had been doing the podcast first in Kevin's house, then a couple of different, I would call them studios, except that's a very generous word for where we were shooting them. They were facilities that were not Kevin's house, but they were also like the corner of a room with a green screen and a TV setup. And then back in Kevin's house, but it had never been in front of an audience, other than like we would occasionally take the show on the road, and we would do like Detroit, Indianapolis, and Arizona and San Diego a couple times. But to have, it was like a Vegas residency at a nerd bar, right? Like we would just roll in every Tuesday night and talk about this shit, right? And just the idea of there being an audience for two old men talking about stuff that they love always surprised me. The fact that people would buy tickets to watch us stand there and talk about stuff that we love for sometimes like 3 hours. Like that's a long ass night. If you like, I don't know, we'll just go to dinner and then we'll go see this thing, and it starts at 8 and we'll be done by whenever, and midnight can roll around and we're still talking about like the fucking Joker.
Take me.
Thank you. Now. Let's go
immediately.
Like I mean, it's like it's as if you're enticing us. It's not turning us away.
Yeah, do not threaten me with a good time. Right. It's always hilarious to me though to see like the guys who convince their girlfriends that like, no, this will be fun. It'll be cool. It's a bar, and then it's like 11:30, and we're still standing there talking, and they're like, I've done drinking. I've eaten all I can eat. And I'm tired of listening to these chuckleheads, and I got to go to work in the morning. This is a Tuesday night. Watching breakups happen is like, I'm sorry.
Wow.
Look, I've been married to my wife going on 20 years this month, and it was a moment where I went to go pick up my pull list, and I said, I'm going in, I'm coming right back out. 1 hour later, I come out and she's in the car. And the windows were up because she didn't want the air on her face, but she's sweating, and I'm like, slowly get into the car. Didn't work. She was like, why is it so hot? And I'm like, oh no, it just because you're sitting in the sun. You're just sitting in the sun. She was like, what time is it? Oh, that clock ain't on the car ain't right.
Yeah. Significant others of nerds do. It's like combat pay. If you're not prepared for this, if this was not a life you bargained for, if you didn't do the training or the reading, it's rough to just hop in the saddle.
I feel like that's only if you are not married to a nerd.
Exactly. Like if you are not married, if you're just a normal person who marries a nerd, there's a whole level of matriculation you have to do to realize that, oh man, this is going to be my life now.
It's your vetting process that you need to go through.
That part.
Conversion is a totally different thing. I'm just like, I was adopting Steve Urkel tactics at that point. I'm just like,
was just like, we're gonna leave.
Was not fun.
Some of our lives are gonna be separate, and that's fine. Like, you go do your thing, I'm gonna go do my thing. These things shall never meet, because if they do, nobody's gonna be happy.
They literally was like, Chris, you coming to Dragon Con? No, that's around my anniversary. You can kind of tell the wife, I'm like, oh no, unless y'all want to see me alive the following year, that's not gonna work.
Yeah, it's like, hey, you gonna be in Dragon Con? No, I'd like to stay married.
I'll watch from afar.
Surprise for you, babe. Tickets to Dragon Con.
I did this for you, for us. So, your book, The Messenger, The Legend of Muhammad Ali. Let's talk about that. This looks interesting. I've seen the interiors of this thing, and let's talk about it. Like, when did you want to start writing about this story? Who, number one, you know Muhammad Ali has a fantastic life to begin with.
Yeah, man, I didn't. Like I literally, the editor who I worked with at First Second, a woman named Callista Brill, like, called me. She was like, hey, so I have this thing, and I'm looking for it was very Liam Neeson, right? It's very like, I'm looking for someone with a very specific set of skills. Like, I want somebody who's a journalist and knows how to do research. I want somebody who knows how to write comic books, and I want somebody who knows and likes sports. And it would not hurt if this was a person of color. And I'm pretty sure you might be the only person who checks all of those boxes.
Please. That is dope.
Yeah, please tell me if you have an interest in Muhammad Ali. And I was a kid born in the 70s, grew up in the 80s, and I knew who he was, but I was not a fan when he was great. I was a fan when he was like losing fights, when he was kind of getting beat up, when he, the Parkinson's started to seep in. But like, I knew some stuff, like I heard about the Supreme Court case. I knew about the lighting the torch in Atlanta. Like, there was a knowledge, but not an in-depth expertise in Muhammad Ali. But like, all right, like, let's dig into it. And the more I started to dig, the more it was abundantly clear that yes, there's 100% a story that needs to be told. And B, I'm deathly afraid of it because it's too fucking big.
Yeah.
Like, that life is massive. That life, I mean, even if all you wanted to do was cover him as a boxer, that life is massive. And then there's another 40 years where he's not in the ring, still fighting for stuff. Like, it took me a year of just looking at it and being afraid of it before I figured out kind of a way into it that would let me retain some sanity and some humility and some hope of being able to portray that life with something resembling skill and empathy.
Mm-hmm.
That's what's up. I mean, I'm like yourself. I was born in late 70s, and I've just being a fan of what he did. Like, prior, even before that, didn't even know. Just seeing things he did, and I'm like, yo, this dude was a beast in and out the ring, and he told it like it was, and I'm like, he's probably the biggest shit talker, but can back it up I've ever seen.
Yeah, and like, he was famous at a time when fame was real, and he was able to. I remember I interviewed Lin-Manuel Miranda before Moana came out for the LA Times, and I remember asking him, I was like, why are you good at being famous? Like, you kind of don't have to be. You could be an asshole if you wanted to be, but you're not. And like, what was the playbook you were following for figuring out how to be a person on the internet, how to be a person who does press, how to be a person who knows how to handle and navigate this level of awareness? There was no playbook for Muhammad Ali to be that famous. Like, the Beatles wanted a picture with him, not the other way around.
Mm-hmm.
But that's what fame is. He could not walk across the street in Harlem without stopping traffic. Like, it's a level of fame that we don't really understand anymore. And he like barely had a high school degree. Like, they graduated him because they realized that he eventually is going to become a world champion, and they didn't want to be the high school that didn't give him a degree. It was very much the sort of athlete track of like, just get him out.
Right. We don't want to be the bad guys behind this. We don't
send them.
whatever he does after this is all on him.
It's all on him. Like we don't want to be the ones who held him back because we know that he's going to make something out of himself.
Yeah.
And so for him to understand the ways to work the media, to work an audience, to devote himself to the skill and the craft and the sweet science of boxing, but also know how to give interviews and know how to dazzle people and know how to disarm people with wit and with joy and with braggadocio. And yeah, I mean, it's only bragging if you can't back it up. And he could, if anybody could back it up, it was him. But figuring out how to write about that, how to find a way to encapsulate all that, took a while. It took, like I said, about a year before I figured out. And it was seeing the movie Steve Jobs, the Aaron Sorkin script, the Danny Boyle directed Steve Jobs with Michael Fassbender, which if you haven't seen it, it's 3 product launches. And each product launch is used to kind of illuminate an element of Steve Jobs' life and his progress and his relationships and his incapacities and his genius and all of that stuff. So I'm like, well, let's pick 10 rounds, and each round will be a moment in his life, and use those moments to explain who he was and what he meant to other people, what he meant to the world, what he meant to himself, the fights that he had to fight, both in the ring with Sonny Liston and George Foreman, and as well as the Supreme Court, who wanted to, send him to jail for not stepping forward in the draft, with Parkinson's, with negotiating for the release of hostages from Saddam Hussein in the early 90s. Stuff that I had no idea that he did, as well as stuff that was like, oh yeah, no, I remember the Rumble in the Jungle. Sure, everybody remembers the Rumble.
Yeah, right.
The rope-a-dope. Like, we got all that. But like, what are the fights we didn't know that he had to fight? And the ones that were quiet, the ones that he kept to himself, the ones that eventually would yield and create this man who could hoist the Olympic torch, even though his hands couldn't hold it. Like, by will and will alone does he get that done. And finding a way into that and finding a way to portray that was the challenge of Messenger.
I mean, he was definitely a force to be reckoned with. When he appears at a Mike Tyson match and he whispers in Mike's ear, "Get him for me," and Mike does just that. And it's just,
when the champ tells you to do something, you do it.
Right. It's a totally different move. Of like, he whispered in his ear, got in the ring, whispered in his ear, "Get him for me." That sounds like a hit.
Okay, go.
He was like, and this is Mike Tyson we're talking about. He was in his prime. Like, if it was anybody he respected, it was Customato and Ali. And he sat there and he got him. And then proceeded to tell Ali, he was like, yeah, you could beat me in the fight. Mike, you're being humble, but you might be right too. You have worked on probably one of my favorite series, and that's The Authority. And that was around 2009, I think it was.
Mm-hmm.
How do you feel knowing that James Gunn is trying to adapt The Authority into his new DCU?
I mean, I'm so happy because The Authority was the comic book that got me reading comic books again. Like I was that comic book reader as a kid. Like, Secret Wars was my big Marvel entry point, because that's what it was designed to do, right? It was designed to, like, look, here's everybody in 12 issues. It's the Vegas sampler buffet of the Marvel universe. Like, just take a bite of everything and then go back and buy the books of the characters that you like the most. And it did exactly that. Like, I became an X-Men fan and a Spider-Man fan. And then a couple of little characters on the margins. Like, I was a Punisher fan. Blade did not figure nearly as big in Secret Wars as he should have. And so I collected all throughout the 80s, and then, like, graduated from high school, went to college. It got expensive. I was hiding my nerd light a little bit and just kind of dropped out of that game. And it wasn't until I kind of clawed my way back in like 95, 96, that I encountered The Authority. And I was like, what is this? Like, why does this feel so big? Why does this feel so much fun? And I didn't know about the Stormwatch stuff that came before. I just encountered The Authority and fell in love with it. And that led me into like Wildstorm, and that led me back into DC, and that led me to follow Warren Ellis, which then led me to the indie stuff and the Image, and it became the kind of gift that kept on giving. And I became like, Brian Hitch fan, which led me to the Ultimates. And, so all of that became my sort of keystone back into comics. And so when I got a chance to write The Authority, I was like, oh, you got to be kidding me. I get to, like, this is the thing that thank you very much. And I get to create a new Century Baby. This is amazing. Thank you. And so the fact that James Gunn loves The Authority as much as I do, the fact that he sees the capacity for it, the potential in it, it is one of the things out of that first wave of announcements where I was like, all right, Jim Gunn, let's see what we're about. I think we might be in good hands, because you could have picked any one of 5,000 characters to say this is part of our first phase, and the fact that The Authority gets name checked from the jump.
Yeah, I'm just watching what his work did with Guardians, and he switches over to DC after he's done with Volume 3. Still a tearjerker. Still have not forgiven you for that. But it was well done. But when he mentions Creature Commandos and then he mentions The Authority, I'm like, oh, we're fine. We're gonna be fine. Like, if he can do anything, is the obscure and bring and make you care.
And the great part about the obscure is that there is no pressure really to be faithful. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know who was reading Guardians before Guardians 1 came out, but as long as you had Rocket and Groot, you know what I mean? Like, what are you going to complain about? There's probably going to be a Peter Quill, because there's always going to be a white guy at the center of one of those teams. So you're fine. Like, everything else is kind of up for grabs. Like, there is no text that anybody's gonna be like, oh, I'm mad that you didn't have that bit. I'm mad that the crime alley was in the suburbs and not in the city. Like, I'm mad that you changed the architecture of Star City or whatever. Like, none of that exists in Guardians. It was a blank slate, for better or worse. And so, as much as I know some shit about The Authority, nobody else does but us. So nobody's going to be like, oh, listen, Krypton. Let me tell you about Krypton. Let me tell you what I know about Krypton. The 19 ways that Kryptonite can manifest thanks to the explosion of that star. But, like, we all know too much.
Right.
Except for the stuff on the margins, which then gives you the chances to, like, innovate and customize and optimize for a new audience.
I think that's why The Suicide Squad was, in my opinion, a hit, because I was putting bets on who would die. Captain Boomerang was not on that list. I will say I did not see Boomer biting it. I'm like, of all the people, and Nathan Fillion, I didn't. I was like, it's Nathan Fillion. I'm like,
who's going to kill Nathan Fillion? Big Jim Gunn.
MG.
Like, it's like everyone's favorite captain. It was just like,
I've decided that James Gunn's new name is Jim Gunn, and he's like blaxploitation. He was the white dude in the blaxploitation movies. Jim Gunn.
I mean,
Mac Truck Turner.
oh,
you can't unsee that now,
right? Like, what, James? You're not a James, man. You're Jim Gunn. Just lean into it.
Shaft's shots. What is Shaft's sidekick?
When Shaft went to Africa, like, he's the guy who met him at the docks.
he's also the guy who would shoot first too. So,
right.
Oh yeah, 100%. Jim, would you simmer down? I got all these guns.
we were just here to have a beer. There's nobody to fight. I was like, oh man. So you just received a Gen Con award. Congratulations again on your short film Splinter.
Thank you.
What is Splinter about? I've been hearing about it. I heard about it on Fatman Beyond, and then I just seen the post you put up yesterday, and I'm like, oh, he's won an award. Oh, this thing gotta be good. It got a great reception out at SDCC, and now you got this award. Let's talk about Splinter.
Splinter it started as an idea for a Twilight Zone episode. It started as an idea. I was Kevin, as things happen to Kevin because things happen to Kevin in ways that they don't happen to other normal people. And so Kevin's like, hey, my agent got a call from Monkey Paw. They wanted to know if I wanted to write an episode of The Twilight Zone. And so Kevin's like, do you want to work on an episode of The Twilight Zone? And as I have made it a habit, when Kevin asks me if I want to do a thing, I say yes. Because it has always worked out for me to say yes. There's no benefit to no. Our entire relationship is him being like, hey, do you want to do this? And I say yes. And suddenly there's a podcast. Suddenly we're doing it out of a bar. Suddenly we're doing like, hey, do you want to write an episode of Master Universe? Yeah, man, happy to. Hey, do you want to write this? Yeah, sure. This will be fun. So, hey, do you want to do a Twilight Zone episode? I said, fuck yeah, I want to do a Twilight Zone episode. I don't know what it is yet, but I'll do it. And so I was flying from Vancouver back to LA and thinking about, well, all right, what did Twilight Zone always do? There's always an episode on a plane, and there's always an episode with a creepy kid who does creepy kid shit. I'm like, what if that's the same story? What if it's a story about a 10-year-old boy who is a prisoner on this plane? He's the only passenger. The rest of the crew exists to service his needs. Because if he lands on the ground, chaos ensues. He's a splinter in the world. And the minute his foot touches the earth, rage, violence, hatred, it's a zombie outbreak every time he lands, just by people wanting to kill each other. So he's always kept in this plane that never lands. And so the short is about the day shit goes wrong on this plane and is forced to land. It's wildly ambitious for a short, and stupidly so. Like suddenly now we need a plane. Okay, where are we going to get a plane? Oh, and suddenly I need a 10-year-old white kid. Oh shit! Like I can't just run around looking for 10-year-old white kids.
As a black man.
It's that episode of Blackish all over again.
Yeah. Just like, dear internet, I'm looking for
Please don't cancel me now.
Yeah.
Do not call Chris
Black is
Hansen.
going to
It
cops.
was like,
In the internet for a little white boy is wild.
Like, hello, white boys
Make
are
that
us.
to a short.
Looking for a 10-year-old. And I should have done the thing that every other person I know who's made a short has done, which is like, it's two people in a hotel room. It's a little road trip between two people in in a convertible. What are they going to do? They're going to learn some stuff about each other. Great. I didn't do that. So we had to crowdfund to raise money to afford a filming location where they had planes. I had to cast everybody that I knew. Thankfully, some of them were actors, but count on the kindness of strangers to direct me to white boys who might want to be in a short film.
I'm so glad that ended up good for you.
There's a dozen ways it could have ended up bad.
That's a fact.
if that was not a clip, Rich, just right there. Oh my God.
I could have ended up Mirandized somewhere, just in holding cell, not being Mirandized. Just what did you do? Where's that boy?
This is one of the moments.
Sorry, this is minute 44 to 49.
You want?
Luckily, I found a wonderful 10-year-old white boy.
I'm gonna stop.
Who was terrific. Incredibly talented, like just naturally gifted, and was ready to. Everybody came to play. Let's see, Yetide Badaki is the lead. Trisha Helfer is in it. Yvette Nicole Brown is in it. Tiffany Smith is in it.
Shut up. That's too many. That's too many.
First, he mentions one goddess, then goes off to say Yvette Nicole Brown, and I'm like, she's from East Cleveland. I'm here, and I'm just like,
right?
Yeah, no. She's a trooper, man. She just was like, hey, I'm happy to be in it. What do you need? It's like, I just need you for like a day, Yvette. It's like, tell me what day, and I'll be there. I was like, okay, well, we'll send over a contract. She's like, I don't want any money. Put whatever money you're going to pay me back into the movie. It's like, I'll just be there to be there. And I was like, well, damn, Yvette. Like, all right.
That's a real one. I had to buy the little white boy dinner. At least let me buy you dinner.
Let me buy you a drink, Yvette. And nobody wants to get Yvette drunk. It's the most adorable thing, though. She falls asleep. One drink, she tells everybody that she loves them, and then she falls asleep.
Oh, she's an affectionate drunk.
It's the best, you know. It's always like every time we're at brunch and Yvette, you know, she'll like, I love everybody. Who's got a shoulder? Like, all right, Yvette. And then she'll nod off for about half an hour and then go home.
Oh my god.
She's not gonna like you talking about this.
You know,
this is why we gotta get her on.
We know her truth.
We got to see her. We got to hear her side of the story.
Hear her side of the story.
Oh my
She's
god.
a phenomenal storyteller.
So
yeah, that's the short, and we've been touring it at festivals since February, I think, of this year. We're coming to the end of our festival run. I think we've got 3 or 4 more that we're submitted to in the fall, and then the sort of early winter of next year, and then we'll see what happens. If and when, well, it better be a when and not an if. The strike with the Writers Guild and SAG against the Alliance of Motion Picture and Television. Wine is melatonin. Everybody wine is melatonin. The strike against the Alliance of Motion Picture and Television Producers ends, then hopefully I can pitch this as a proof of concept for a feature or a miniseries or something like that, which I won't even say was always the plan, but is now the plan.
That's gotta be just reading the description for the movie by itself. I was like, I need this like immediately. The story horror, absolutely. I will take it any way I can get it as long as it's good. I need to see this a lot. Very intriguing.
Thank you. And I think I've been advised not to do this, but I also don't listen to much advice. Put it up on the internet for free when we're done with our festival run. Just like,
don't you do that?
That's the same advice I got. Where are you?
over
yeah. Further up there, right at the top there.
Over there.
Yeah. Go ahead, here.
One, please don't release that for free. At least charge $1. At least if you're gonna do something that's worldwide potential, just charge $1. I that's it. Yeah, no, that is not a free thing. That just based on the premise alone, and me knowing all of the work that you have done, me being surprised when I look at the writers for it and seeing that it's you consistently, you can't do that. You cannot do that, sir. Absolutely
Fair
not.
enough.
I apologize. I know. I hate. I'm sorry to mess up y'all's Sunday plans or whatever money y'all was going to use, but this should go towards that.
We will take it under advisement.
That was the nicest no I ever heard.
Oh no, we'll take a look at that. No.
You have been in both houses of sci-fi, Star Trek and Star Wars. And for the people that's listening and watching out there, there's really no real competition between the two houses. I don't know who made up that thing. It's just you like one, you like the other, or you like both. It's just what it is. When you get older, you realize that you're not really a Jedi. You might be a gray Jedi at best. You realize wearing red shirts on any kind of ship in Star Trek may not fare well for you, unless you work in the engine room. Then you may be safe. But here, our very own one of our sponsors, Trey, he says, any chance to see Splinter on the screen and near me? He says near him. He's in Texas. So.
Well, one of the festivals that we're still waiting to hear back from is the Austin Film Festival. So it is entirely possible that you could see it on the screen near you.
Look at God. Look at God.
All right. So Simona says, will you be screening at NYCC?
Hi, George.
I'm waiting to hear back from them as well. Like I put in for a panel. We'll see what happens. I have no juice at NYCC. So
what?
Yeah, it is amazing how quickly people forget.
I think we need to get on that. What do you think, Lady Mandalore?
Listen, I'm like across town. I'll have a conversation real quick. Let me go find somebody real quick for you.
I'm gonna bring this here pipe wrench, and we're gonna have a conversation.
Hey.
I have no. Where's my bottle?
The New York way. That's what that sounds like.
Absolutely not.
Oh my God! So working in, we'll start with Star Trek. We'll just start Star Trek first. Mm-hmm. You were the supervising producer, correct, on Picard?
On season 2 of Picard, yes.
How was it being in the room with legends like that? Someone of a crew that definitely had an impact during the 90s in the early 2000s.
I mean, Next Generation was my Star Trek. Like I watched the classic series because it was on when I was a kid. My dad was a fan. You know, everybody's got a certain amount of love for Kirk and Spock and Bones and that crew. But by the time I got around, it was more about the movies than it was the TV shows. And there's only but so many movies, and half of them are not good. And so I was a Next Gen kid, you know, and so getting to write Interior Enterprise Bridge, Jean-Luc Picard walks, like it's bananas just to be in that position and to get to write those words and to get to imagine that at some point somebody's going to do that, right? Somebody's going to build that. Somebody's going to put that man in that uniform and make him do that. It was surreal. Which is really the only way to describe it. Star Trek is a weird one in that Star Trek, there are so many different versions of Star Trek that everybody has their favorite of all the legacy medias, right? There's 9 different versions of it you could have loved. Classic, movies, animated, Next Gen, DS9, Voyager, Enterprise, Disco, like all of it is kind of there for you. And so finding a way to get everybody on the same page on what kind of Star Trek you're going to make can be challenging. You know, I feel like we got there on season 2, which then led to the glory and the wonder that was season 3. Season 3 of Star Trek Picard is one of my favorite seasons of TV ever, because it gives an audience exactly what they showed up for. And if you're making season 3 of a show like Star Trek Picard, your job is fan service. Your job is to give people what they wanted in ways they didn't expect they were going to get it, right? Like it's not just a layup of here's what I want. It's no, we know what you want because we all want it. But now how can we make you wait for it? How can we subvert it? And how can we deliver it in a way that you didn't see it coming? You know, and God bless them, like Terry Matalas and that crew on season 3 did exactly that. You know, and I texted him. I was like, "Motherfucker, you made me cry." Like I should have seen it coming, and I didn't. And you motherfuckers made me cry. I love you so much. And so, like, it's a different relationship I have with that than I have with Star Wars. Like Star Wars was like mother's milk for me. Like A New Hope was the first movie I ever saw, and so. You know, getting to dip even the littlest toe in the galaxy far, far away is it's not even surreal anymore. It becomes like I'm dipping back into my own operating code, discovering like, oh man, we can tweak the fuel efficiency in this. We can make it better, faster, stronger just by letting them write Darth Vader. we can erase years of trauma.
It's funny because, you know, I myself was exposed to Star Wars as a child first. And then my grandmother says, "Oh, Star Wars is on TV. And I'm like, "It is?" Yeah. You know, and at the time I was 4 or 5, and I'm just like, that's kind of weird. And even then, my young, fresh mind knew that the schematics of a movie being in a theater and on television didn't make sense until I was exposed. It was Star Trek. And because I'm looking for Luke, I'm looking for Leia, Chewie, Han, any of them. And I'm like, I went a whole hour seeing none of them. None of them. I'm like, this isn't Star Wars. And she was like, well, I seen Star. I'm a kid. I'm just like, this isn't Star Wars, Grandma. It was like,
set up and like it. It's what we have.
Star. She said, yeah, we got Star Wars at home. Is what. So when you grow up seeing that world, and especially hearing things about Darth Vader, reading about how much of a badass this character is, and then Rogue One comes out, and people say, "I didn't know," and then you have the hardcore fans saying, "We told you, we told you." he was that guy. And here you wrote Red, White, and was it Red, White, and Black?
Black, yeah.
And Black, White, and Red. And that was just this year.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, that came out 3 months ago, I think. 2 months ago, maybe. That was fun. The craziest part though about working with Lucasfilm is they have very specific ideas about everything related to Star Wars, but where they decide to draw the lines, I'm like, hey, can Darth Vader do this? They're like, no, he can't do that. I'm like, really? There's a thing that Vader can't do? They're like, yeah, he can do that. Kylo Ren can do that, but Vader can't do that. But Vader could do this, which looks cool. And I'm like, oh yeah, that looks dope. Let's do that. Like it was his control over the Force because he was much like Luke, an imperfect student, you know, who had dodgy teachers. So,
you don't say.
I thought it was just me.
Yeah. And so like his control, his power over the Force is not precise. Like it's massive, it's strong, but it's not like he's not breaking eggs with the Force. He's breaking ships in half. And so the ways in which it manifests with him, I was like, oh, all right, I can do this, but I can't do that. Okay, thank you very much. Like just what they would tell us. I'm working on another thing in the Star Wars camp that I can't talk very much about. But it's a similar conversation of like, no, he can do X, he can do Y. She can't do this, she can do this. This is not how a lightsaber works. It's the things that they tell you can play with, and then you just got to find ways to make your own story work within that set of restrictions.
I'm waiting for it.
Kara is perfect.
I'm waiting for it.
Go for it, Lady Mandalore. Go for it. It's there.
Wait, are you done? Wait, are you done writing it? Just let me know that. Are you done?
I am not done writing it yet.
Okay, all right, I'm good. That's it. That's all I want to know. That's it. I'm good. Okay.
Please let us know.
She would beat me to buying it before I bought it. She's like, and
when I can talk about it, I will stand on the top of every mountain, on the hood of every car, shouting.
We will listen. We will listen.
I will be on that Zoom call.
And I'm gonna get on digital.
Send me the invitations.
I've mentioned that you've worked on various Carnival Row. My wife loves Carnival Row. She's always
like that fairy sex.
Yeah. The Fae are a thing, man. The Fae are a thing.
No kink shame. Like what you like.
Hey, I don't judge. Castle Rock, Treadstone. You've worked on numerous shows. This is what I mean by well-rounded. My guy worked at Hollywood Reporter, and then he worked at Playboy.
Yeah,
that's a hell of a balance.
There are articles. From what I've been told.
I mean, I know that.
I spent a year and a half trying to remind people that we wrote good articles. That was like half of my job, was like going into publicists and convincing them. It's like, I swear to God, I just want to interview your client. There's no, we took all the nipples out. Like it's just a magazine now. It's just a website. Nobody's paying extra for it. And like, it kind of worked for a little bit, and half of it was like, hey, Selma's coming out. Can I please interview Ava DuVernay? And they were like, well, I don't know, Playboy. And so like I hit Ava on Twitter because I used to work with Ava at Entertainment Weekly when she was a publicist. And so like, say, hey, Ava, I'm doing this thing. She's like, all right, I'll tell him it's fine. I'll tell him it's cool.
Thank God for the connection.
That's dope.
If you work in the business long enough, everything comes around.
It's like, hey, my name's Chris Fury. I work for Playboy. Oh, you're one of the dirty. No. It's not. It's not like that at all.
I used to be a janitor.
Yeah, I remember taking my son into the offices. He's like, "Daddy, why are there so many naked ladies on the wall?"
How old was he?
He pays the bills, son. He pays the bills.
13, maybe 12, 13.
Oh, he was at the prime. He was at the prime point.
Bro, I'm sure he was the most popular kid ever when he was like, yo, this is what my dad does. This is what I saw at my dad's building.
Yeah. Like he was just very excited that there was a pool table that he could play pool with. Never the mind that like he's playing pool with playmates.
Dad, I heard it's take your kid to school week. How about on top of that?
I heard it's take your kids' friends to school day.
That part.
Like, why is half your class at my front door?
I know. And then I get the call from all these parents being like, excuse me.
What?
It's mostly the moms. Meanwhile, the dads see you like, so show me around the job.
When you gonna tell me?
They're helping Mark chaperone.
There's a waiting list to come over.
Like, honey, I'm taking a couple days off from the job. Yeah, Mark's got all these kids. We're just gonna, kind of help shuttle them in there and kind of shuttle them out. Don't ask why we came home after 6.
In the morning.
In the morning. Oh my God. So, well, this is what I mean by being well-rounded. Like, you have been in just about every aspect or corner of the nerd space, and you're very, like I said, you're very humble about it, and I listen to you talk, whether it's here or Fatman Beyond, and when you describe things, you don't just describe them, you go through the character breakdown as to why. You're a writer's writer is the best way to put it. You can break down a character, the reason why they're doing it, the why they're doing this, who they're doing this with, and why they're doing that. You do a complete breakdown and it makes so much sense. And not everybody can understand how to break a character's purpose down, whether it's in a show, a movie, or a book.
Well, I mean, I guess I come to it from a almost entirely self-taught background. Like I don't have a film degree. I never really took a writing class. It was the era of, hey, I could rent all these movies that I like, and then I could go to like Washington Square Park and find the guy who's selling screenplays for like $1, for $2 or $3. And I buy photocopies of the scripts of the movies that I love. And then I'll watch the movie and I'll read the script and like, all right, how did they do that? That's what this is. This is what that is. Or this scene looks like that on the screen. This on the screen is how you write that. This is how you tell people what you want it to look like if that's what you want it to be. And I remember my dad had a mechanic who should not have been a mechanic. Like he was like the Doc Brown of mechanics. Who similarly never went to Apex Tech, never got the tools, but still could take apart an engine. And he would just say, take it apart and put it back together again. That's how you're going to learn how to do this. You'll have all of the pieces. You see how they were put together in one place. You see the one that's not working right, and you replace it. So that's just what I did with movies and TV shows that I liked. I started just taking them apart and saying, all right, well, if this is what this is how you write this is how it got me to feel the way I feel. And story is entirely about emotion. It's entirely about how do they make me feel? How do they manipulate me into A, giving a shit, and B, either crying at the end of this or laughing at the end of this or cheering at the end of this? There's a pattern, there's a blueprint for getting people to do this. How do you write that blueprint? How do you discover what that is? And so every time I see something, I'm always in the process of trying to diagnose it. Like, what is it doing that's well? What is it doing well? And then what isn't it doing well? Why am I not having the emotional response that I think they want me to have? Or better for me, better for everybody is, how did they make me feel so deeply about this? Why am I in tears as Miles Morales dives backwards off of a building? Like, why does that work in a way that other examples of superhero origin stories don't work? Why am I caring more about this than I am about other things? And that's this is awesome.
What? No, I'm sorry, I got allergies.
It's the allergies.
It's the lies.
It's the lies.
It's all the lies.
Allergic to bullshit.
So Trey over at APR TV, he says, for our podcasters, how did you join Fatman Beyond? And can you explain to the panel why George Clooney is the best Bruce Wayne?
All right. I'm not sure I can do the latter, but I can easily do the former. I had met Kevin as a journalist. I had interviewed him a couple of times for Entertainment Weekly. And one of those times, it was a filmography. And this was somehow a point in Kevin's life where he didn't want to talk on the phone. And so it was like, hey, can we do this over instant message? And I said, sure. Here's my handle on AOL. That's how long ago this was. My AOL fucking screen name. And he would just pop up on my IM, and we did this interview. It was like, great, I don't have to transcribe. You can type, and everybody wins. And then he would just pop up on my IM every now and again, like every couple of weeks. He'd just be like, yo, do I use a semicolon or a comma here? And I'm like, I don't fucking know. Nobody knows. How about a semicolon? He'd be like, all right, dope. This reads well. Thank you. He'd be like, hey, did you see the Hulk? It's like, yeah, that was weird, right? Yeah, it was very weird. And so then it was, hey, I'm going to be back in Jersey. I have a poker game in my comic book store. Do you play poker? And I lied and said yes. Because like
I see a theme here.
Yeah, like I've seen rounders, so I can probably fake my way through poker. And so I went and lost money, because that's what you should always do to rich people, is lose money. And yeah, do not take money from rich people. Ironically, they're shittier about it than it is taking money from a poor person. And so like we just kind of started to hang out in the way that nerds hang out, which is, you know, we'll fucking just stand outside the car outside of a movie and talk about the movie we just saw for like 2.5 hours until the security guards kick us out of the parking lot. That's just kind of what our relationship began as. And he's like, hey, I do a podcast with my wife called Plus One. And I was going to be in LA. I was working on Alphas at the time. So I was like, I'll be in LA. He's like, you should come on the podcast. So I came on the podcast. I said, oh, that was fun. Awesome. Hey, I do this other podcast. Yeah, right. So I do this other podcast about Batman. Think of your 10 favorite Batman stories and then come on Fatman on Batman. We'll talk about it. And then he was like, no, scratch that. Let's do a commentary track for the Dark Knight Returns animated movie with Peter Weller as Batman. I was like, all right, that's dope. I'll do that. He's like, that's fun. We should do all of the Batman movies as commentary tracks. I was like, all right, sure, whatever you want, man. And so we did all of them up until Batman Begins. And he was like, I'm tired now. I like doing podcasts because doing a commentary track takes work. Like I got to watch it. He's got to watch it. I got to watch it like 3 times and take notes on shit. Like it becomes this research thing. And, you know, it's a lot. She was like, we should just like, we'll just do it. Like, just come on the podcast and we'll just talk about Batman shit. You still have that top 10 list? I still have that top 10 list. And then it was, hey, do you want to be the co-host of this? I was like, what do I have to do? It was like, nothing. Just, you know, show up every week. Okay. And then we started filtering news into it. It became like sort of this pop culture news thing, less about Batman and more about everything. And then he's like, hey, this is cool. Should we put up do you mind if we put up cameras? It's like, hey, man, it's your house. Do whatever you want. He's like, hey, man, you want to go on the road? You want to do some shows on the road? I'm like, yeah, Kev, absolutely. He's like, hey, man, producer JC just opened a bar. You want to do it at the bar? Sure. Hey, man. Basically, it's every time he would say, hey, man, I would just say yes, because it all worked out in my favor. Like, you know, hey, man, do you want to do this at Comic-Con? Sure. Hey, man, do you want an episode of Master of the Universe? Yeah. Hey, man, do you want to do Green Hornet with me? Sure, Kev. Basically, it's, again, that is my plan. If he says, do you want to do X? I say yes.
See. He also Trey also says he said it was real inspiring talking about the scripts and breakdowns. He said he's on page 150 trying to wrap up a third act of a screenplay. He needed to hear that.
Cut 20 pages.
Yeah.
Yeah. Unless you're literally doing Oppenheimer, you should not be on page 150 trying to wrap up your third act.
Yeah.
Unless it's like, hey, listen, you know the screenplay better than I do. But that's long. If it's a page a minute, 150 pages is a lot. So,
figure, was it like a 90? They say between 90 to 120,
give or take. You know, depends on the kind of movie. If it's a comedy, it shouldn't be longer than 90 pages, no matter what Judd Apatow says. a comedy can always be shorter. Shorter is always funnier. If you're doing a real drama, then 120 pages is good, but be in that range. Be in that zone.
He says, you need to cut 30 in the end. He's got it. He's got it.
Or you're going to cut 15 at the beginning and then 15 at the end.
So
yeah,
you've done, and by the way, I grew up on the original He-Man and Masters of the Universe, but this latest version that you guys worked on for Netflix was amazing. And the battle scene alone, and this is what I can appreciate because there's some comedy elements in it as well. Like when he lands on the skyship that his mother is driving, he's like, "Oh, hey, mom." And I'm like, in the midst of all this battle, it's just a literal mother and son conversation. Yeah, just drop me off over here. So, but it really did something, especially that last scene when he's basically tearing ass and they're playing the music and the score is going. And I'm like, this hits different, to see something like this. And I can't wait. And the voice cast, don't even get me started. Don't even get me started. Because we did a show based off that voice cast, and I'm just like, this is like the upper echelon. The minute they mentioned Mark Hamill, Skeletor, I'm like, oh shit. Shit.
Yeah.
Old.
What time and where? Just I'll be there.
Right.
The only regret that I have of doing Masters of the Universe Revelation was that I didn't get to meet Mark Hamill. I wrote a couple Skeletor scenes, and I was like, I'm gonna show up at the booth, right? And I gotta meet Luke Skywalker. Like, let's go, let's do it. He's my Joker. Let's go. And then I discovered that they didn't even tell me when I was recording. I was like, Kevin, don't take this from me, Kevin.
Wow,
you owe me.
Big time.
In perpetuity.
In perpetuity, forever and ever.
Perpetuity.
It states in the contract. Oh my God. On a bit of a serious note, I know we're like over 100 days for the strike.
Mm-hmm.
I know you pretty much can't go into too much detail because it's kind of like a ever evolving thing. But I think for the masses, they're starting to understand what's at stake, what's needed. It's when I've always seen over the years coming up, I've always seen and heard about actors and writers getting residuals and everything else. And it's only fair that, now that we're in the age of streaming and movies do not stay in theaters as long as they used to anymore, that now you're navigating a whole different space. We've already seen that Marvel, the VFX, special effects people have already created their own union, to kind of get things solidified. How does that landscape look right now? In at least out west.
Well, I mean, the strike is ultimately, it's about a number of things, but at its core, it's about writing and acting as careers that you can pursue that make it possible to pursue it, right? Like it used to be, and it's not about getting rich. It'd be great. I'm not going to say no if somebody wants to make me rich, but most of the people that I know who are working writers in Hollywood are not rich people. They are middle-class people. Most of the actors that I know are middle-class people. There's Tom Cruise and Charlize Theron, and there's a handful of bold-faced names, and then there's another 150,000 people who are just trying to make a living. And it's gotten harder and harder and harder to do that. In the 80s and 90s and even the early 2000s, if you wrote an episode of TV that was on the air that had commercials, you would get residuals every time it would re-air. And those residuals would diminish, but they would be enough to be like, oh, hey, great, this will pay my rent for a couple of months. Oh, hey, this will pay my mortgage for a couple of months. This will put, food on the table, shoes on the babies, and maybe a little bit on the side to contribute to a college fund. You would working of 52 weeks a year, even if you were on one TV, if you were on LA Law, you worked 40 out of those 52 weeks, and you got paid each one of those weeks that you worked. That was just the way it was. And then things changed. Then streaming came in. Then instead of doing 22 episodes, we would do 13 episodes, 10 episodes, 8 episodes. Instead of working for 40 weeks a year, you'd be working for 20 weeks on a show, 10 weeks on a show. Still writing a lot, still generating a lot of material. But instead of having one job that lasted you a year, you'd have to get 3 jobs to make enough money. And 3 jobs are harder to get than 1 job. And so some people just weren't working as much and weren't able to afford insurance and food and all of the things that you need in a city as expensive to live in as Los Angeles. The same thing for actors. And that changed because less episodes on TV, less opportunities to rerun those episodes. The streaming formulas were different. Like they weren't paying you per stream the way they used to pay you per airing. And so all of that back end money vanished, all of the incentives vanished. And so it just became harder and harder and harder to make this a career that you could do without having to get another job on the side. And I don't mind working. I as lots of writers of color will tell you, we all have 5 jobs. We're all Jamaicans from Mad TV. Right? 3 jobs you got.
I knew you were going there with that. I knew it.
How many jobs you got? You got 2 jobs. You need more jobs, boy. And so we all have one. I'm writing comic books and video games and like doing all of this stuff. Like, hey, I love it and it's great, but it's also like ways to augment a job market that's a little bit depressed at the moment.
Yeah.
And so the reason we're striking now is to kind of plant our feet in the sand and say, it can't keep going the way it's going. Television used to work fine until you broke it, until you all broke it by falling in love with streaming, which only makes them as much money as they have subscribers. Like they can't sell DVDs anymore. They don't like movies don't stay in theaters anymore. Like there are no hit shows on TV anymore. Like everything, Blue Beetle was in theaters for a few hours and is already up for pre-order.
Yeah. And it's actually a good film. It's
a
fun movie.
I have thoughts about Blue Beetle, but they're not like bad thoughts. It's like, oh, that's totally fine. Like, it's a good time. It's a well-made 90 minutes of a movie. If this was 2004, 2005, that movie has a lot longer in theaters. That movie will then go on to sell lots of DVDs. There'll be a rental market. There'll be a sales market. There'll be lots of ways for that to make money for Warner Brothers. Now there's like 3, and that's a problem. It's all become a problem. And so the strike is attempting to kind of fashion some more controls onto the way that we're making money as creators, to the way that they're making money as producers and distributors. And they don't want to do it because it'll cost them a little bit more. Not that much more. In the grand scheme of things, almost nothing. 2%, 3% of their annual revenues is what we're asking for. And they make billions and billions of dollars.
They do.
That's crazy.
They do.
And I think it's hard for people to wrap their heads around how much a billion is. Like we hear that number a lot. It's like, it's just $1 billion. $1 billion compared to $1 million?
Crazy.
Like if you, I'm going to mess up this math, but it's like if you live for 1 million minutes, that's something like 2 or 3 years. If you live for 1 billion minutes, that's like 37 years. Like the scale of 1 billion is so much bigger than 1 million, and it's so much harder for us to wrap our heads around. And these are dudes who are making $1 billion a year, who are like, I've got this $30-40 million yacht and I need another one. Like Netflix, the numbers are like, what is it? Like, let's pretend it's $10 a month for Netflix and they have 200 million subscribers. That means that they make $2 billion a month. A month. And they're telling us that they don't have to be like,
that's cool.
Yeah. And one person taking home a very large portion of that money each month. One
person, like their annual salary is in the hundreds of millions of dollars. And like there are writers who are literally there are assistants who cannot survive unless they can eat the lunch in the room that they're working for.
Wow.
It's sickening.
Go
ahead.
And so like it is, we're not fighting for the people. We're not fighting for the guys who create Breaking Bad. We're not fighting for the guys who create, the giant shows. We're not fighting for the people who do like Walking Dead or whatever. We're fighting for the people who are like, I just broke in You know, I'm trying to get my second job, and I might go a year between jobs. And so I got to find a way to make these ends meet. Otherwise, I'll give up on being a writer, and I'll go back to doing whatever it is that I did, wherever it is that I'm from. And those are voices we don't get to hear. And all too often, those people are people of color, because we're always the last in and the first out, because we do not have rich parents to go back to who can support us and float us and just send us money every month. You know, like, we got to go to work. Let us go to work. And then suddenly there will be a generation of voices who die on the vine because they could not survive out here because the business is not conducive to that. And so those are the reasons why I'm striking. Those are the reasons why I'm out there. Those are the reasons why a lot of people I know are out there. So that doing this job, telling stories for a living, like, you know, a country that does not support the arts is a country that doesn't know exactly what it's fighting for.
Oh, this country definitely doesn't know what it's fighting for.
No.
On so many
For a
fronts.
very long time.
Yeah, for a very long time.
So, do you see, from your standpoint, do you see it changing in the near future? Do you see it kind of leveling out in any kind of change?
I mean, the strike will end.
Mm-hmm.
All strikes end. And I think the strike will end, I'm not going to say relatively soon, but we've been at it for 120 some odd days, I think. I don't think we go another 120 because the rubber is beginning to hit the road for, like, hey, if you guys want to have a TV season, anything resembling a TV season, if you want TV back in January, we need to go back to work in September. Yeah. And they want their TV season. They want Abbott Elementary back on the air in January.
Oh yeah, they don't want to
really air in January. Yeah. They want all those Chicago shows back on NBC in January. You know, they want to have an Emmys awards. They want to have Oscar movies and have stars out there to support them and promote them. You know, they want to have all the ways that they make money back before too long. And if that's what they want, then they have to come to the table and give us a deal that makes some sense. And I think they will, because they have to. And every 3 years we go through this. Every 3 years we'll have a negotiation, and we'll try to claw some progress away from people who don't see the value in it. And we'll make some gains. There always will be. But this was the big one. This was the one where if we let this go this year, if we let this go this time, then robots will be writing shitty versions of sitcoms that you'd like to see, except you won't. You know, like, there will be digital facsimiles of actors who you might have liked a while back, but then they all start to look a little plasticky and rubbery. They're all a bit, you know, Luke in Mandalorian season 2. I see what you're doing. We're not there yet, kids.
I hit too close to home, sir. I felt that one.
Oh, yeah.
They tried. He's a good man. He's a good man.
He said,
it's Sebastian Stan, but they tried it, and it just was like, oh God.
Yeah, it's like, you guys just cast an actor. Remember, we did this all the time. Give me an actor who can give me a performance on the day, on the stage, and light him like a normal ass human. My nostalgia does not require.
He said the quiet part out loud. I'm just saying. Like, he's like, oh, it looks something like.
You know, like, I was not the biggest fan in the world of Solo, but honestly, I prefer we recast for a young Harrison Ford than get me young Harrison Ford out of a box.
Yeah.
Every time it hurts.
It always hurts.
So, as you know, you're in the business, and we see, as we're in the business just at a lower level, we see news articles all the time, and we're just debunking and just like, yeah, we're not reporting that. We know that's garbage. You know, like, just some of the stuff, the rumors that come out, and what we've noticed is that there are some sites who are just plain downright hungry for clicks.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the latest one was, Jim Gunn has found his new Lex Luthor, and it's an adult porn star. And I'm just like, I didn't see him tweet about that. So, because he's quick to respond to a tweet. You know, he'll solidify. He's like, I don't know where you heard that from, but yeah.
I do not envy you having to be out in these streets making sense of this internet. Like every day is April Fool's Day. We're like, is this real? Is this not real?
It really
Do I need to be like, do I need a vetting squad to figure out what's legitimate and what isn't? I do not envy it because it's all nonsense.
It is. Truly. We've been in chats together. We're in the chat room together, and we're just like, this is bullshit. Like they're running out of stuff to talk about. They're running out of stuff. They're mentioning movies from 3 years ago, and there's like, oh, do you want to see this cut? No, we don't. It's not even on our radar to talk about. So.
Yeah, I mean, and some of that is because of the studio's inability to make a deal with us. So there's no new development news. Nothing is in production. There's no like new stills of a thing happening. There's nobody across the street, with a telephoto lens getting some images of whatever. Like all of the grist for the mill of news is, especially pop culture news, is beginning to dry up. And so like, all right, let's just invent some shit. Yeah. Like we got to do something. We got to do something. Guess who's Reed Richards this week?
Yeah. Until I see the Mouse King literally come out and say, and this is our cast. I'm like, it's not happening. It's like, they literally just every day. And you're right. It's every day. It's something new. And I'm just like, yeah, we're going to be talking about the comics and some video games over here today because that stuff ain't working right now. We just know the strike is still going on. We haven't heard from anybody that the higher up anyway, or like D23, that's in the fall. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that expo's in the fall. I'm pretty sure y'all want something. Because if you don't, you're going to be canceling that too. So
it'll be a fan event.
Yeah.
They'll make you pay $500 for just to stand in the line to get in the line to buy the ticket for the thing you want to go see.
Yeah, like who's going to be on the stage? Well, we can talk about animation, kind of. We can talk about video games, kind of, but we ain't getting no more insight into Phase 5.
They just like when I'm like, be patient, just chill out, just go back, watch 1 through 4. It's plenty of content. Just go watch that and
do it again.
Yeah.
Let's do it all again. Go watch Suits.
Plenty of time.
Go watch Suits. Yeah, yeah. Go watch Suits. I don't know what happened.
Watch Suits.
Yeah, I don't know what happened. There, it was like, why did Suits blow up all of a sudden? I'm like, I need the second half of Doom Patrol while you're playing. I don't
know, man. That's like the mystery of the month. Is like somebody explain to me how Suits is like the thing that people love right now.
I'm still
of all the shows.
I still don't understand it.
Our very own Navy Montel's in the building.
Hey! What's going on? I'll get to see this young man again. Oh my gosh. I know he thought I was a stalker, San Diego Comic-Con.
No, it just amazes me that they really are just running out of content. We said it on this show several times that we say to the people, y'all weren't around for 07 and between 07 and 09. That this is why we have so many reality shows. I'm like, do you want that again? Is that what you're looking for?
Except even now, like I've got a friend who works in reality, and he's like, yeah, back in 2007, 2008, they were buying a lot because they knew like what can we do tomorrow? You're a millionaire? Done. Let's go. What can we do? Somebody's marrying a rock? Let's go do that show. But now they're like, hey, it's fine. We have 12 seasons of Remake My House into a Bowling Alley. We have 11 seasons of Why Do My Balls Hurt? Like the floor is lava. Like all of this
floor is lava.
Literally.
He's not wrong, y'all.
It's all there. So like, we don't need new stuff. Just direct them to the old stuff.
You about to give some people some ideas on that one. Why my balls hurt?
I mean, isn't that like all of MTV's programming?
Called Jackass 3.0. That's what it's called.
My spouse was a comic poster.
Yes. I seen a clip from, I don't know what this game show was, but the young lady was singing Whitney Houston song. Beautiful voice. She was hitting the notes, but the two co-hosts were helping her walk a platform, and each platform there was a removable window, and it was various things in it. The first one was fish guts. I think the second one was maggots. Another one was some kind of pinching bug. The other one was scorpions, and I swear to God, the last one was a small crocodile. I don't know.
Why?
And I'm sitting there watching it, and this was on X, as formerly known as Twitter. I'm like,
there's a problem right there.
I'm watching this thing go unfold, and I'm like, she's not going to step in there with the crocodile. And then she does. She slowly steps in there. Mind you, fish guts and maggots is all on her feet, you know. Yeah, and she did. And I'm like, yeah, these folks are crazy. This reminds me of those Japanese game shows.
Yeah.
They didn't do that though.
They didn't go that direction.
They were close.
I mean, it's a little fear factor though. Just now you also have
I was just thinking that too.
Yeah. Can you hold a note?
Well, they got a guy who literally will eat buffalo balls with no problem. I don't know what the hell that's all about, but you know.
It's a delicacy.
Is he a Rima paper? He has to be a Rima paper.
Oh, he's more like, you know, Rima paper with some red marker on it, but you know, whatever.
What the?
Jesus.
Alabaster.
Wow.
Alabaster.
Wow.
We wasting the artistic materials on reams of paper. Go figure.
Off-white offenders.
Off-white. Okay. Yes.
The alabaster aggressors, ladies and gentlemen.
There it is.
That one down.
That part.
There we go.
Coming to a rally near you.
So, Mark, other than the strike,
I will apologize.
Don't apologize. People come here for the comedy. So they come because we know what we're talking about and we're funny.
And we ain't playing either. Let's go.
All of that, all of the above. Come to Bird's Eye View. You like us. We're funny. We know what we're talking about, and we ain't playing. We ain't playing. Black Spartan, just making it.
What's up? What's up, sir?
I know you got a couple questions for Mr. Bernardin here.
First off, sir, welcome. Dude,
he's our engineer of the ship. He lifts warp drives for a living.
Literally.
Definitely not figuratively.
Not yet, anyway.
He's not glowing yet. What are we supposed to do? Let him glow. Just let him glow.
You live 1454 block, and they think you're Hercules. Okay.
Yes.
You did that.
You live one by yourself, and now all of a sudden you're Hercules. Dang, I was going to ask what has already been asked before
we shoot the shot, man. Shoot the
shot.
Jesus, where can I go with this?
We'll buzz you if you hit one that we've already cut in.
I got a buzzer.
That buzzer would have went off about 5 seconds ago. This was Family Feud. I would have already costed us $25,000. But
that's facts.
Okay, I guess asking this: do you see as far as the ongoing strike, I should say? Is there advice that you can give for those? And forgive me if this was already
he almost caught the buzzer.
Okay. All right. For those that are trying to find creative outlets, if you will, or just sitting on ideas, or kind of in this, I'm waiting until the dust settles, things of that nature. What advice would you give for up and coming creators? I would say.
I would say to write. The strike does not prohibit us from writing. Okay. It prohibits us from writing for and getting paid by a struck company. You can write for yourself, and there is going to be a hunger for material on the other side of the strike. Now, granted, there's also all the people who are unemployed who will be going back looking for that job, but there's also going to be a lot of hunger out there for the new thing. For the unrepresented writer who's looking to break in, like it'll be your time to shoot your shot come the end of this year. And if you got the thing, like if you spent the time and you wrote the pilot, you wrote the movie, you wrote the comic book, whatever that is, there's going to be somebody wanting to read it. So use the time where we can't be getting paid to find a way to pay yourself forward by just like do the thing. do the work. And yeah, I mean, comics are a great outlet. If what you're doing is burning to tell your story to an audience, comics are right there. Web comics, digital comics, print comics, like indies, whatever it is. I will always recommend a person's like, hey, if you want to be a writer, then write. And there's no better way to be a writer than to try to get your stuff out there and go through the meat grinder of being edited, of being read by an audience, of getting feedback from that audience to a certain degree. Do not read all the comments. Rule number one on the internet: do not read every comment. But there's a version of getting feedback that feels legitimate, that feels instructive, that feels constructive. So yeah, go get it, man.
Don't read all the comments unless you have frequent flyer miles and a folding chair at the ready.
You mean Spirit Airlines?
Don't forget that.
They probably have folding chairs for you.
Unless you personally know Aquaman.
That was really the only question I had. I was going to say, first off, thank you for Star Trek Picard. Thank you for making me cry for 3 seasons. I appreciate that for being one of the writers on that show. Also, love Critical Role. I love Master of the Universe, and I loved Alphas. And I was like, man, you kind of have this thing as far as, and also being a journalist for Los Angeles Times. I'm a big fan of writing. Not as heavy into it as we'll be watching and Lainey and as Kira and everyone else is. I've kind of dipped my toe into many different things, but yeah, that's all right. I just want to give you pride. I just want to give you flowers for that because
thank you, man.
You're kind of one of those guys I like to see that are just behind these television shows and behind these animes and things of that nature. I always thought I just wanted to just give you flowers, man.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Here at this show, we do like to give flowers to the people that we have coming on because whether they're known, unknown, somewhere in between, we like to show our appreciation because without people like yourself, we wouldn't be entertained by the content that's out there. It always takes a special person to kind of step out the zone and say, I'll write that thing, or I'll act in that thing, or I'll create that thing. And then they're the ones who kind of fell back and didn't know or are too scared to step up to the front line, say, hey, I like that. Now that's giving me courage to kind of step up and do this thing, So to piggyback off of Black Spartan, yes, thank you for all that you provided. Thank you for all the content that you've given. Continue, like you said, I don't even have to tell you to continue writing. You're up there already. Right.
They just have to continue paying me, and I'll keep doing
that
more paying more.
Your title list is just, you look about everything that you're associated with. It's like, and we have other friends out there that are big associates to the whole thing of representation. It's like we're not just slotted to just entertainers and athleticism and things of that nature. The fact that what a lot of people don't understand is such figures such as yourself are behind a lot of these shows that we know and love. It's all, they don't always see they always look for the one headline guy. They look for the James Gunns. They look for the Kevin Feige's. No one's ever actually looking at the actual reasons behind why these shows and movies work. So it's nice to actually put faces such as ourselves and going, yeah, we're behind that. And it's like you kind of, again, inspire others to say, well, if an individual such as Mr. Bernardin can do it, why can't I? There you go. You just lit the fire under somebody's ass. Yep.
I would love nothing more for people like us, for nerds, for blurs, for people of color, to take their shots at the brass ring. It's a long shot, and I don't ever want to sugarcoat it. Like there are more people playing professional sports than are getting paid to write on television right now. Like that's the numbers game of it. Yeah. Like there's a lot of people who want to do it and not a lot of people who get the chance to do it. But every day there's, a person like me, a person who's running a show or whatever, who's like looking for a voice, who's looking for somebody who's got something to say, who's looking for somebody who will deliver if given the opportunity. And I believe it to my soul that if you give a person of color a chance, they will work twice as hard, and not for half as much.
Yeah.
Yes.
The prices went up.
4 times is great.
Yeah. You know, they will literally stay twice as long. They will work twice as hard. They will deliver twice as well.
And make
because
it look good
they
the whole
understand,
time.
sadly, that they may not get a second chance up at the plate. So they will fucking swing with everything that they have. And that people don't understand that still astonishes me. But
well, that's why we're here. You know, because this is why we're here. We bring these people out because it's like, hey, did you know that One Saturday Morning was done by Larry DeJohnette? Who's Larry DeJohnette? Let me bring this brother on. You know, these bumpers you used to see in the Proud Family and all this other stuff. You'd never know because you don't see them. They're not in the forefront, you know, and it's like, oh, shout out to 9B Collective. They got their hands in everything.
Oh, hell yeah.
You know, and so shout out to Phil and Michael and Aldous. They have their hands in everything. We just found out they had a hand in Blue Beetle.
Yeah.
I'm like, yo, dude, you were on the show. You could have told us.
You know that NDA's got more galvanized than anything. Come on now, the NDA is strong.
It wasn't until Phil said this was his first on-screen credit, and I'm like, dude, stop.
Legal keeps everybody honest.
Yeah, but
people out here doing the work. Doing the work.
You know what NDA stands for? Negro. Don't ask.
Damn. Clip it, Tafari. Clip it.
Don't ask.
So Mark, go ahead, Kier.
I wanted to ask because you are up there, God level. Have you noticed an increase in the presence of us in upper levels of ownership, of creativity, network? Well, not even networks, not yet. We're getting there, but where we're building our own platforms and they're secure places for us to be at. Have you noticed an uptick in those kind of?
I feel like there was a wave, like the Black Panther effect, of like, hey, this made $1 billion. We'd all like to make $1 billion. What we're not going to do, however, is greenlight a bunch of Black superhero movies. Instead, and the wave kind of crested with the summer of George Floyd, of everybody realizing that we are not nearly diverse enough, that we don't have any diversity inclusion programs. There are no people of color with greenlight authority at studios and TV networks. And so there was a push to kind of begin to integrate those upper echelons of the executive ranks, because that's where the power is, right? That's the power of, we want to get this show made. Who can make this show? We will empower people of color to greenlight programs that will reflect their experience. It was a wonderful idea that never actually matriculated and matured and yielded very much. And now this year, not like a month ago, you start seeing all of those diversity executives starting to leave places. You start to see
or get fired.
You start to see like cool people. You start to see like either we're leaving, we're closing up shop, we're shifting the initiative, whatever it is. And it feels like it was just a kind of a cyclical exercise in we noticed that we shouldn't just put up a black box, and so we should maybe hire some people, but maybe not give them all the resources and the latitude and power that they needed to change the face of entertainment in a way that it absolutely should change. I feel like there are more Black writers in Hollywood than I ever knew that there were, and I discovered that on one day on the picket line. It was like Black Writer Day at Paramount. There was like 5,000 Black writers. I was like, where the fuck are we all? Shit, we out here.
How did they not have the book out yet? Like, what the hell?
Yeah, like why didn't they tell us we were all here? And so I think that there's definitely an increased number of people who are getting their chance to do this for a living. You know, and people in power, people in showrunner positions or number 2 positions, and people who are beginning to be able to affect change. But it all honestly ultimately comes down from the top. And there was only one person of color really who runs a major studio. Like Donna Langley at Universal is the only person who can greenlight anything. And so it's not a surprise that that's where the Fast and Furious movies are, right? Where they're like, hey, you know what? Turns out,
that's right. Now, okay,
brown people make money, and so it takes a brown person to discover that brown people will make us money. Let's go get this money. And the fact that every studio doesn't have something that looks like that, like, guys, don't you want to make money? Why don't you want to make this money?
I've been asking that question for a minute. How much
Help
money
me
you not
help
want to
you
make
make
is weird. You don't like just to it don't make sense. It don't make sense.
Didn't you say, Lady Mandalore? Didn't you say it was like $10 billion?
It's $10 billion out of it's got to be out of spite at this point. Like our community has the money. Clearly, we have the money. You don't want to distract from that. Whatever is being used to distract us and take away from us actually keeping it within our pockets, and put it that way. It's stupid. It's so
like
dumb.
you're bad at your job.
You're bad at your job. You don't deserve for many reasons now. Clearly, you don't deserve the money that you're getting because you don't want the money that you could be making.
To be a mobster in the 1920s and 30s and realize that one of my henchmen left money on the table. I'm immediately like, and you didn't tell me? You didn't.
You have a fiduciary responsibility to your shareholders to make as much money as you can. And if you don't, you should be fired.
Flat out.
I have always sat there and said this, and I will still say it again. Until the Movie Picture Association adopts the same mentality as every major professional sports organization out there, always have the same problem. Because that's the truth. I mean, that's being honest. If you look at it, I mean, you look at every time there has ever been an integration, economics has boomed. Did it for baseball, did it for basketball, did it for football. And even now a second renaissance in baseball.
Yeah.
Economics has boomed. So if athletics has figured this out, go back to the movie pictures. Well, we can't have an all-black cast. Why not? Straight from an executive's mouth. Because colored people don't make money.
But the blackening worked and it beat the Flash.
Yeah. And that's the thing about it. They always that's the excuse that's always been said. Colored people don't make money. Really? I mean,
is it that they don't make money or don't make money according to their
that's what they try to say. They try to say
that list of boxes that need to be checked because
that's what it is.
I can go back to when I was a kid, and this was when they called during the blaxploitation era. This is when you had Uptown Saturday Night, Let's Do It Again, A Piece of the Action. You had Car Wash, you had Lead Belly, Mother Jugs and Speed. I can go on with all of these movies.
Coffee, Black Friday, Cleopatra Jones, Sweet Dee's Revenge. I'm with you. You keep going down the list, yeah.
So back then, that was the draw to the drive-ins. We didn't want to go to the theaters. We went to the drive-ins so we could watch these movies. You see people look like us and see Superfly and see the Mac and everything. So I think now they're just trying this. They want that money, but they're scared. They want to keep it safe. They want to still do it within their parameters, and I don't think that's fair.
It's acknowledgement. It's like you ever see somebody that doesn't want to admit they're right, even though the evidence is overwhelmingly against them. And I mean, like neon.
Yes, and that's why I'm divorced.
Oh, jeez. Mark. So George asked the question: what books or comics are on your reading table right now?
Wait,
before we let you,
Lainey, did you want to say? I saw your hand up, Hunt. I'm sorry.
No, I just was gonna go in the opposite direction, but in the same thought process of saying that I think they're just scared because when you just said all of the sports, think about how we are dominating. You know what I'm saying? And they don't want us to dominate because when we dominate, that's it. You know what I mean? We will have it.
Come on.
We will take it and we will make it our own, and we will be the blueprint.
But that's
so
the problem.
I think it's more that they don't want to get our side because that's it.
Yeah, wait, that's what I'm saying. That's the acknowledgement part. When you get acknowledged that, and I gotta give credit to Paul Mooney. Paul Mooney said it best: when black people take over, we take over. We take over, you don't get it back, and we don't apologize.
You're right, you don't get it back.
You don't get it back, and we don't apologize for it. He said, think about it. Everything we've ever got into. I remember when what did he say about Serena Williams? When you saw them two little black girls take over tennis, white people weren't thinking about that until they realized, oh shit, they've won every tournament.
That was me coming up. I remember that.
But but it's so funny. But that's what I'm saying when I say about acknowledgement. See, when Tiger Woods was winning, white people were okay with Tiger Woods. Oh, he's so elegant. He's so poised. Look at his father. His father's so proud. They are light skinned as all get out, but Tiger was dominating. White people didn't care until Tiger started getting close to Jack Nicklaus. That all-time record. White people like, we don't know. We don't know if we can be ready for a black person to take over.
They didn't want to give him that jacket.
Yeah. So again,
didn't want to give him the jacket.
So look at where we are now. You won't give black writers the credit that they are overwhelmingly due. You won't give black actors the credit they are overwhelmingly due. You won't give the opportunity for them to be showrunners. You won't give the opportunity for them to be executive producers. Why? Because you know as well as we do, as well as everybody in this podcast knows, when we take over, we take over, and we don't give it back. But the ones that are collecting the money don't say shit.
We're Kobe out here in the game. That's what it is.
Jerry West never said shit when all the Lakers were black.
Hey.
Come on.
Was he not collecting billions?
That check was looking nice to him. That's why. That's why the Lakers has always been a franchise team. So yeah, what books or comics are on your reading table right now before we let you go?
I meant to ask him this in San Diego, but this man was in a hurry. When he was a flash. He was like, "How you doing? Are you gonna see him?" I was like, "Oh my god."
Yeah, man. No, that's another thing I learned from Kevin. Like, be a shark. Like, always be moving. Otherwise, you won't get where you're trying to go. I'll tell you. I bought this.
Yeah.
Ooh, yes,
sir. Let's go.
It's been a fucking minute since I read this.
Oh man.
And I did not feel like looking through my long boxes for stuff. So I'm like, I'm gonna just buy the fucking Bible and read it.
Such a good read.
Yeah.
God, it's such a good read.
But that's up next for me.
Nice.
And then there's a couple projects that I'm starting to do some research on that will require me to do some nonfiction reading, which I don't always love, but I do when
it sounds like me.
It ends up becoming worth its weight in gold. Marc Bernardin, I can't thank you enough for number one, taking the time out with us, but this right here, just for being you. Thank you.
No.
Thank you for just the numerous accolades that you have. Congratulations again on the Gen Con award. The Splinter sounds amazing. I can't wait to see it. I know this crew can't wait to see it because it was given Twilight Zone. It was given Twilight Zone.
Apparently, I can't put it up for free.
That's just $1. $1 is all we need to help feed 11 families.
Buy this kid a sandwich.
Yes. Our very own, my co-producer, Tafari, says come back anytime.
Yes, sir.
This door is always open. Many people have said that it's like the cookout. It's the cookout. I've always described the show as a cross between Arsenio Hall, Saturday Night Live, and Tonight Show with Jimmy Fallon. Only it's Tonight Show with this crew, and we're actually like more like Mad TV, actually.
It's like Tonight Show with the Roots.
Yeah, right.
I'm telling you, Mark is the uncle that brings all the Uno decks because you got that one cousin that stole them all. So he comes in like clutch.
Can't even stack anymore.
I got nothing but draw fours. Nothing but draw fours.
Ain't gonna stack them. Done.
Oh man. Hey, yes. APR TV, one of our sponsors, he says we can help with that dollar release.
How much you need off the top? Give me a quarter.
Y'all know what I say about opportunity. Mark, thank you once again. You're welcome back anytime, whenever your schedule allows.
This was fun. Thank you for inviting me.
Look at that.
Come back on when you're allowed to talk about your stuff, because I want to talk about the light woo woo thing.
The woo thing.
The light woo thing.
So will be first, and I'll be right behind her.
Wasn't that a Jada Pinkett movie from the 90s?
The woo.
Woo.
Oh my God. But once again, if you don't mind telling everybody where they can find you.
It's weird because I am no longer on whatever Twitter is called anymore. It seems like that was a slope to get off of.
It's like a porn site at this point.
Yeah, no,
Just
can't do
one
that.
wrong signal.
No, it's like my divorced wife, X. Yeah.
Instagram for the most part, at Marc Bernardin with a C. I'm on Blue Sky and I'm on Threads. Both of those are the things, but I don't. Once I left Twitter, I got out of the habit of I'm gonna fire off a stream of thoughts into the internet thing. I don't have that itch anymore. So
it gets tiring. Your thumbs get sore and everything else. But whatever. But man,
my thumbs are sore for other reasons. Thanks.
Wow.
This is why I knew.
We got it.
You dirty people out there, your minds are filthy. Not filthy.
And Mark, before you go, thank you for Genius. That is a stellar comic. Oh my gosh. I picked that bad boy up a few years ago and I said, I want to meet the young man who wrote this and tell him thank you. But then I looked like a total teenager when I saw it, like, sir, Mark, and then hit the band again. The bear. He's like, hi, click, and he left. I was like,
and also I'm not that young.
You're younger than me. How about that?
But thank you once again from the Authority to King in Black to Adora, which we didn't talk about, to the Darth Vader. Dude, you are the legend. You are the legend that's in the blurred space, and we appreciate you. Tell Kevin that you'll take over the show for a couple weeks so we can have a week. Black Man Beyond.
Listen, I am not a legend. I am standing on the shoulders of Phil Lamar, who is standing on the shoulders of LeVar Burton. There's a long lineage of us who've been trying to keep this space alive for people of the melanated community.
Yeah,
and so
all of them. We are here for all of them. But thank you once again, man. Like I said, this door is open anytime. Next time I'll tell my wife to leave a plate. And so,
please, and the big piece of chicken.
The big piece of chicken. Oh my God, Lady Mandalore.
Hi. Well, good evening. Hello, everybody. Hi. You can, as always, find me right here on Blurred's Eye View, but you can find me on Instagram at Blurred. I also have a podcast and an Echo, apparently. Sundays at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time live, and you can also find me on the TikTok for now, where I do voiceover, or voice thing, work, whatever, and get extremely nervous and start to babble incessantly. I also have my name on TikTok, which is going to be Child of Mandalore, and I have a podcast called Child of Mandalore, where I talk about the history of Mandalore, not just the season or the new series, but the actual history of it. Find me there. I'm fun. I do voices. I get tired.
Our Grill the Horror, Lainey from Geek by Heart. Talk to the people.
Hey, I am Lainey, one half of Geek by Heart. Me and my husband run our YouTube channel at Geek by Heart, so check us out there. We talk about movies. We just talked about black people. Listen, I want to see that too. We talked about Blue Beetle. He also does streaming of God of War 3, and he's working his way to do God of War 2018 and then Ragnarok. So come join him there every weekend. Come join us at TikTok and come join us at IG. We are there on both. And it is never too late to do what you love. So do what you love.
Thanks. I'm gonna put the cinematic assassin up because I do love what's gonna happen afterwards. Go ahead and tell them where they can find you at.
He's already doing a face.
Not doing nothing. You can find me at Mayhem Media. That's MAYEHEM Media. You can also find me on purefandom.com where I talk movie trailers. You can find me at blurredseyeview.org where I talk about the actiony things in the movies where things go boom. You can find me on Instagram, being ridiculous and finding all the Funkos at great value. So if you are into the collection game, just
wait.
I got you.
To make it clear, he didn't say great value Funkos. He said finding Funkos at a great value. That's a totally different Funko Pop you're looking for.
The frugal Funko finder. I like
that 5 times fast.
He's a triple F, y'all. He's a triple F.
But yeah, if you're looking for me, that's the handle, Mayhem Media. It doesn't matter what site you're on, and if you can't find me, I'm not there. But with that being said, I always want to stress mental health is important. So please, please, please take your meds and take that PTO and whatever else you do in this world. Lean into learning, lean into laughter, lean into love, and we'll make this world a better place. And also, Mark, as an aspiring screenwriter, you were speaking into my spirits, and I was like, I'm about to leave the show and go right, y'all. So dreams went out. That's what I was about to do. So thank you for coming on. Thank you for responding to my message, because I didn't expect that to happen. And then I was like, oh shit, guys, he actually said something back. What do I do?
I had to give him the layout. I'm like, all right, this is what, like, we already got his ear. This is what you do.
Well, thank you for reaching out. This has been great. And I'm not gassing. I'm not fucking blowing smoke. This has been a wonderful, wonderful fucking time. So thank you.
Thank you. Look at that. We just inspiring and making sure everybody have all the funds.
Hell yeah.
Black Spartan.
I was wondering, like, what face were you waiting for? Face from me or from Light?
I was looking for this one at first.
Yeah.
I was late. I thought he had one in the chamber, but I was late to the party, so I got to apologize. But yeah,
Wesley Will.
Wesley.
There you go. There you go.
You know what? I'm gonna practice my Nino Brown from New Jack City every time you do that. But anyway, I am Black Spartan, otherwise known as BlockBox447 on the socials. I usually do reviews.
Otherwise known as the one who lifts warp drive engines for a living.
That part.
Yep. Aside from that, and scaring religious people, that's always been fun. That's a whole nother story. But anyway, a couple of podcasts I do have of my own. Of course, my daily political podcast, How the Frack We Got Here, every Wednesday and Saturday. My video game podcast called Get Bit Podcast every Friday. Both podcasts can be found on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. And my podcast can be found wherever podcasts are found, seen, or heard. That does include Opulence Radio and Always Record TV with the rest of the fleet. I am also one of the many heads of the blurredseyeview.org website for writing columns. I write wrestling. Why? Because wrestling is real and people are fake. Shout out to Mr. Kendi for that one. Really? Live. The funny part was I was watching Gargoyles before I left.
Wow.
I'm laughing because I was like, I just got through watching this morning. Aside from that, guys, again, if you are knowing someone or if you yourself are creating something new, whether it's a podcast, whether it's a business, whether it's a con, and you know someone's doing it, share it. It literally costs $0 to share it. If you give money, cool, but it's not required. But again, support them. You will support Beyonce if she knew you existed. Also, it is con season. So again, I have 3 simple quick rules. Number 1, at all times, respect all cosplayers. I don't mind being security because that's the one time I can bounce somebody in a con and nobody complains. I'm just saying, folks. I like that part. Please don't make me be that guy. I don't want to be that guy. I want to be the nice, happy, jolly guy. I don't want to be the guy that you go, this is the dude that basically yeeted me across the street. There's somebody in Nashville that actually did get yeeted across the street. I'm kind of proud about that when it's throwing distance.
Outside the hotel, he's doing curls with Cardises, talking about
I sat there and cleared. I sat there and cleared him. It was like midget tossing in the back of a pickup truck. I mean, it was just like, yee!
On somebody's closed screen, they have to have that. We're waiting to be on here.
I am pretty sure somewhere in the world, in the archives of World Star, there is me throwing a napkin American in the back of a truck in Nashville. And just
the way that just lined up just now, I'm just like,
I love it.
I'm pretty sure it's somewhere. But anyway, 3 rules. Again, respect all cosplayers. That just, again, for people that are taking their fandoms out there, they do not need to be anything but respected. Again, treat them the same way you be treated. Simple and plain. Number 2, wash your ass. Soap and rags and underwear and fragrance and everything. They are still cheap enough to get. So for the simple fact of the matter, wash your ass. Nobody wants to be around a stinky person to con. And finally, number 3 is the same rule apply to myself as I apply to everyone else. I am a very social person. I am really a nice guy. I am not a violent person until you push me. But aside from that, simply put, don't be a dick and we'll all be cool.
This coming from a guy who can lift warp drive engines. I don't think no one would want to push you. Or could for that matter. So
I wouldn't even want to try that. Okay.
You would be so surprised, but I'm sorry, I'm shutting up now.
Oh my God. Tell him.
Y'all better stop.
We ain't done nothing. We just sitting here.
It's the comment section.
We just sitting here. God.
Except with those little people. We do find it, however, hilarious.
When you hear
okay. Look, we already know that we all got a first train ticket down. At this point, everything else doesn't matter.
Well, they need you in Alabama. That's what they need you. Listen to what you just said.
Oh my God. Tell them where you at, Dave.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, blurs of all ages, good evening, good morning, good afternoon. Once again, it's your frosted bearded blur decorum here with the crew and the amazing Marc B up in here doing the thing. You know what I'm saying? Because when you put creativity together, it's a beautiful, sexy thing. It's something that can't be destroyed, melted, or anything like that. Okay. If you want to find out what I'm doing, you can find me on Instagram and X under Navy Montel. I would say ex-wife, but I'm really trying to get in trouble. You can find me under Twitch, TikTok, and YouTube under Road Catnip. I just shot my review of Blue Beetle, which I was very pleased with that. So I'm going to do that. And I'm definitely going to do my video talking about BlurCon in San Diego. Other than that, my rules specifically, please stay nerdy, stay geeky, stay sexy. And always be proud in your blur.
That is a wonderful thing. Hey, everybody. It is your man on the wall, Chris Fury, back with another episode of Blur's Eye View with our great esteemed guest, Marc Bernardin. Thank you for coming through. Thank you to this crew. You can catch us Tuesdays, normal times, Tuesdays, 8:30 p.m. or 8:30.
Yeah, it's 8:30. You forgetting your own time?
You good?
Times are shifting.
I need you to breathe.
Daylight savings time, and Ahsoka's on. Yeah, it's a lot. So,
you shouldn't have said that.
Yeah. So you can catch us Tuesdays at 8:30 p.m. Eastern on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, Thursdays 9 p.m. But this week is a special week because not only do we have Marc Bernardin on, but Friday, we have Sir Julius cosplay coming through with that fantastic Blue Beetle cosplay he's had. We're gonna be doing our own little review on Blue Beetle as well. But you can catch us everywhere you listen to us, wherever you listen to your podcast. You can also catch us on Instagram at Blur's Eye View. It'll send you to the link tree in the bio. There you go. You can also show your love on the YouTube channel. Go ahead, hit that subscribe button and that notification bell so you get to see all the latest episodes and interviews that are normally not seen here, but only on that channel and that channel alone. Go check us out. Show your love. Thank you once again, Mark, for coming through. This was been a refreshing conversation. We're glad we made you laugh. We're glad you had a good time. I think Arsenio Hall would be proud at this point. Speaking of Arsenio Hall, today is the anniversary of Living Single, when it first premiered.
Hey, single.
That's the French show that we recognize.
I'm sorry. Am I alone in this?
No.
Am I alone in this one?
No.
Yeah.
As far as the singing, like, no, you got to pay for that. I myself, you can also catch I need to get back to my voice work on TikTok.
Yes, you do. You need to get back into your voice work, sir.
Yeah. They like the villain. I do. I know. I love being a villain. Why not? Anyway, tune in. Check us out whenever, wherever, on every podcast and on YouTube. We will see y'all later. Thank you again, Mark. Thank you to this dope crew. You know how we do. We will see y'all later.
Bye.